Welcome to this tutorial. In the previous tutorial, we saw how we could create a measure within your Power Pivot. You could then see how you could use the measure within your calculations for your pivot table or your pivot chart. In this tutorial, what I'd like to look at is a specific case. So we're going to look at a function called the switch function. Now, I particularly like the switch function because it allows us to be able to create quite complex if-then type statements. Now, if you've ever used an if-then before, once you've got more than one criteria, you often end up with a nested if-then statement, which can become quite complex to work with. So I think the switch is a much better way of being able to deal with when you've got complex situations of if-then type of conditions that you want to use. So basically in this tutorial, what I wanted to do is just run you through using the switch function and show you how it works. Yet again, please remember to like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the tutorial. Welcome to this tutorial. I hope you've been following our other tutorials in this Power Pivot series. So far we've done quite a bit. We've been going through our different types of calculations that we can add into our model. So you'll remember with our Power Pivot, if we go to Manage Data Model, we now added quite a number of additional fields. Let's just move across here. We had some calculations we could use, also some date fields as well. And then in the last one, we actually added some new measures into this. So we went through what a measure was and how a measure could be calculated. What I want to do in this tutorial is I want to look at a specific case for using a measure. And this is something called the switch function. So the switch function is really useful when you've got a number of different conditions that you actually want to analyze. Now, traditionally in a lot of Excel, you would use an if-then condition, and you end up with nested if-then conditions, which can become quite complicated. So I just wanted to show you using Power Pivot, we do have switch, and that you could find it much easier when you're dealing with a complicated if-then type of scenario. Okay, so let's have a look at this. Let's go back into our Excel, and let's change this pivot table we've been working with. I'm going to keep my total sales, but I'm going to actually use my customer names. So we're just going to drag our customer down, and we'll have our total sales and our customer. So basically, we got our different customers here. And let's say, for example, in this situation, I wanted to say all my customers who were over $500,000 actually were my gold customers. Anybody that is from $100,000 up to $500,000 were my silver customers, and anybody below $100,000 were my bronze customers. So basically, we wanted to evaluate the total sales and then come out with an outcome that will tell us what type of customer they are. Okay, so as I said, this is a good way to be able to look at the switch function. So we're going to go back to our measures we were using in the previous tutorial, and we're going to say we want to create a new measure. And in this case, I'm going to say, we're going to call this our customer segment. I'll say customer segment there. So we're going to use a formula. We're going to say equals, and we're going to use the switch. You can see as I start typing it, use switch there. We'll click on it. So the first part it's asking me is what is the expression we're using. Now for this case, we actually use something called true. So basically we want the system to find something when it's true. So I'm going to type in TR, and you'll see that we use our UE there, and we got our true function. Now there's actually nothing that goes into the parentheses here. We're just basically saying we want to evaluate if something is true or not. So once you've got the function true, I use my comma, and you can see we move across to value 1. So in this case, what I want to evaluate is I want to evaluate this total sales. So we're going to say, we're going to take our total sales. I'm going to press my left square bracket. I'm going to take total sales. And I'm basically going to say in this case, if it's greater than 500,000, comma. What is the result of this? So I'm going to now say that would be a gold customer. Close my quotations, comma. We then move on to the next value. And basically you can put as many values in here as you wanted to. So I'm going to then say, well, if it failed on over 500,000, we want to know if it's over 200,000, because then it has to be between 200,000 and 500,000. So again, we're going to say that we want to use our left square bracket using our total sales. Remember, the total sales is our sum of our sales. I'm going to say is greater than, and in this case, it's 200,000, comma. Now, if that is true, then basically we want to say those are our silver customers. So we're going to use our quotations and put our text in. Then we get to a point where if we don't have any other rules, I could keep putting more and more rules in here just using the same format. However, we're going to get to the else now. So what else is there? So in this case, if it's failed on those, then actually we're going to say it's a bronze customer. Okay, so to remember to close your different parentheses there. So basically we got no parentheses and we got a closing one. So just to go through that again, we're basically saying our expression is we're looking if it's true or not. We're saying if the total sales is over 500,000, then it gets gold. If total sales is over 200,000, it gets silver. Otherwise, it is bronze. Remember again, you can do your category here, but that doesn't really matter because we got a text output. So we're going to say okay, and we're going to accept it now. You can see that it's been now added into this. And again, like we've seen with the other measures, we've now got it as part of our names. Actually, if you look here, you'll see that you got your measure and you got your customer segment. So that is correct. But let's evaluate this. So basically, you can see the first number all being set to bronze, and all of these are below 200,000. The next one actually is over gold because it's over 500,000. And this one is between 200,000 and 500,000. So it seems that this has worked quite well. So I just wanted to show you this in the tutorials, just as an example of being able to use a nested if-then statement using the switch function. It's just a lot easier than using your traditional if-then. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed the tutorial. We're going to conclude this one now. I will see you in the next one.